Hello, I'm Andrew, the CEO of Acuity, and today we have our Christmas dinner at Acuity, and I've taken advantage of that, and I have Argimiro and Ariel who help us with data science, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And I'm just having a little bit chat about Chat GPT, large language models, and everything else that is in fashion at the moment. And these guys are experts, so I thought I'd take advantage and get them to chat about it. Please, guys. Argimiro, please introduce yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Argimiro Arratia. I'm professor of mathematics and computer science at the Polytechnical University of Catalonia, and also consult for Acuity in their data science projects.
I'm Ariel. I'm chief data science at Acuity trading. I'm also working at the UPC, the Polytechnical University of Catalonia, as a professor of statistics.
One of the big things that's been taking the world by storm this year is Chat GPT, which is large language models. And I'm keen to get these guys' views on what's going to happen, what is happening, and especially towards finance. So, Argimiro, what are your thoughts on how large language models will help or detract from finance?
Well, for our proper needs, one limitation that we have whenever we have to test our model is the lack of data. We deal with real-time series, so really to test a model, you really test it with many scenarios, of this time series. So with this generative model, we can create synthetic time series. There are several models, of the type of generative network GAN, which actually can create time series that resembles very much all the properties of the real-time series. So, it's like an alternative to the bootstrap in order to create more data to test your models and really tune them at the optimum. So I think that's one of the great advantages. Another one is with Chat GPT. It's a fabulous tool for a programmer to assist them in the programming task, because you can really have your program being corrected and even improve, automatically with Chat GPT. So
Thanks, Argimiro, for your comments. Ariel, what about yourself? How do you think finance and large language models are going to interact?
Well, I think that we are starting to see right now the capability of these large language models, and in the future we will have a lot of progress in this area. Right now we have a lot of stuff that can be speeding up with this the use of these models. For example, summarizing test data or generating some kind of content based on information that we are providing to the model it's a good task. But the withdrawal that we have with this model at this stage is the hallucination problem that everyone is aware that may happen when you allow the model to be alone and create an answer. So for the future, I think that large language model is a technology that we are going to have for a long time until they evolve to the new generation in some year from now. But there is a lot of work that has to be done in the area.
I've been working with you guys for many years now, and we've looked at natural language generation in the past, and the models and the concepts we've come up with. They used to be pretty clunky, and now my experience with Chat GPT, just myself playing around with it, it's quite a step change in how I see it.
Yes, years ago you have two paradigms in this area: extractive or abstractive summarization. The extractive is the closest one to what we have now with Chat GPT. But even at the time, the test generated from the algorithm were very robotic, and they was not very easy to read. Right now, you can improve the result that you have from the extractive summarization past, but still, if you read some content related from Chat GPT, sometimes you get the flavor that it was automatically generated. It was not.
But it's very much different.
Yeah, it's quite better.
What do you think, Argimiro?
Well, but take into account that you're maybe looking at the public Chat GPT, which is actually, being trained, that way, but the one that is actually for sale, and, Chat GPT 4 is actually being tuned in a way that is,
And are there big differences between the models? Because we're not just talking OpenAI, Facebook, Tesla, I think, Google, and many others are developing their own. Is there a big difference between the quality of these, you find? Because I know you've done some tests on different ones.
In terms of having a very fast process, I prefer to go with the OpenAI model.
Mm-hmm.
But also the quality of generation that we get in the tests that we have done until now, OpenAI seems to have better results. But we need to take into account that there is a lot of large language model on this area. It seems like everyone is in the race for having their own large language model.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying corresponds just to a very narrow couple of models that I have tested before. I said the open source models are very good resources for people that cannot afford to use the OpenAI one, and they can provide very accurate results also. But you may need to play a bit more with the parameter and fine tune a bit more the model before to put in that in a production environment.
So it would be remiss of me if I didn't start advertising what we're doing at Acuity. And this year we've done a huge amount of, spent a lot of time and energy, even staffing hours in researching nowcasting. And that's primarily down to these guys. And we've created some interesting models. So I thought I would ask them to explain a little bit about what we've been doing. So Argimiro, take it away.
Well, yeah, we looked at nowcasting GDP. Mm-hmm. And one of the challenges here is that this is a financial variable that is sampled quarterly. Mm-hmm. And our sentimental data from where we created this attention metric from the topics that characterizes the news, the team was able to run a model that helps to describe each news by some specific topics. Mm-hmm. And there were 200 topics that sort of, can serve to characterize all these news. And from there, we got this attention metric, which we actually prove that it has some predictive power. But one of the challenges is that this metric is sampled on an hourly and daily, so we can aggregate it to monthly. So in order to have a model that to predict that GDP, which is a quarterly observation, we have quarter observation. Yeah. We need to level our data, to the same sampling period, yeah. Right? And so that was a challenge. So we tried actually a model, the Midas, with this one which is geared for this type of different data with different sampling periods, and another neural network model, LSTM, and actually got quite a good result, but it was quite challenging to,
And looking at all the research you've done over the years, both of you, were you quite happy with the results?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And actually, this was a very exhaustive work done by also the young members of the team. The
younger member of the team here, Ariel, tell us a little bit more about your work on this and why you were happy with it.
Well, I need to advertise a bit more.
Advertise, great. Let's continue with the advertisement.
Yeah, well,
what's our company called? Acuity.
Well, the big two components that we have this year for this project of nowcasting was first creating a topic model, Acuity topic model, that is able to detect around 200 topics from the news archive of data that we have in our research environment. We got this topic model. We trained it using data from Wall Street, background, Smart Money that we imported into production. And from there, we were able to start all this topic in attention that Argimiro was referring before. The second part of the year was very focused on trying to predict, using this data for predicting the change on the US GDP. It's something that we completed successfully.
And this is when you went to Italy to present this paper?
Exactly. We presented that in a conference in Italy. The paper will be released next year, so if anyone is interested, can read it.
Okay.
All the feedback is very well appreciated.
Yeah.
And yes, we're very happy with the result. It was challenging because, as Argimiro said, working with mixed frequency data is a bit complicated. The amount of models that are able to deal with this kind of information are also limited, as far as I know.
This is basically when you have an input into a model with data sets that come out at different frequency, and the output is one frequency, and it's hard to bring the different data sets together simply because they come out at different frequencies.
Exactly. Yeah, you have, for example, GDP is releasing a quarterly base, and we have our data set that can be released in a daily frequency, the attention data. So you have 3 months of hourly information that you can include in the model. This is why the project is called nowcasting, because you are trying to predict what is going to be the change on the response variable with the information that you have in a lower frequency. You can have a prediction at every time in the model.
And what's next for this nowcasting? What other projects have you got up your sleeve for next year?
At the beginning, we focused on the US GDP. We want to focus now on another macroeconomic indicator.
Such as?
We want to focus on unemployment and inflation, inflation. There is another one. Non-farm payrolls also we want to include in the list. But some months ago, we were testing a bit crude oil inventories. And the relationship that there are between the crude oil inventories and the attention that our topic related to crude oil can bring.
Okay. It was interesting learning about the white paper and all the froth around Chat GPT, OpenAI, etc. But one of the things I'm interested in, what's going to happen in the near future. And as I was explaining earlier, it's moving at such a pace, in my opinion, large language models. Where do you guys think this new industry is going to take us in the next year? Ariel first.
Well, this is like, I'm going to put a mix here of my personal belief, what I would like to have in the next year. Okay. For example, well, for sure, reducing a bit the hallucination problem that we have with the large language model is something prioritary for me, something that we need to control in some way. And if we find a way for control that automatically, it's going to be...
Is that a big issue within the scientific community, hallucination?
Yes, because we cannot rely on the model, let's say even 60% when you don't provide to the model with the context from where extract data that I need to use during the generation phase. And the other thing that I think is going to evolve a lot is all this research on audio to voice and text from voice.
You were talking about this earlier, so we were talking about taking pictures and taking text out of the pictures as well, and I guess from that videos as well.
Right now, it's something that we can do it. I think this week Google released Gemini Pro. Gemini Pro, and people. I saw some examples in what some guys were taking a picture on Google Map and then extracting all the metadata from the picture automatically based on this kind of model. This is a big improvement. I also saw an example of a guy taking an image from Amazon, which is advertising some sale from a particular product, and all the data related to that sales are extracted to the model. So that part is completely done right now. What I expect to see a big change in the future, and for sure there is a lot of example of small research project done at this time, is like voice, speak directly with the model. Voice to voice or voice to text.
Interesting,
I think there's something that is going to...
I've always thought that with my kids that they're learning languages here, living in Spain, amongst them obviously Spanish, and like in the future, are we going to actually need to speak languages because we'll just have a headphone that's directly translating and producing our...
I don't think that is the future. You can find some advertising on the internet that people is speaking to a device and they're playing another language. That's amazing.
But it's obviously going to change the way and the value of learning languages. So, Argimiro, what are your thoughts about for the next year?
Well, next year, as I said, one big topic nowadays in machine learning is interpretability, the explainability of models. Because now that machine learning is actually being accepted more than what that was 5 years ago into the industry, not only financial industry, but people require, users require that the decisions be explained. Why the model has taken this decision, like when you have credit scoring, or even I mean, actually to tell the user what variables were actually influential, in the model. So you need that kind of explainability in order to displace like the traditional linear models.
So that goes hand in hand with a big thing. This week we had the publication of the European Directive on Ethics within AI thing.
Exactly.
And every government around the world is trying to look into ethics, and I guess
yes,
that's a core function of ethics within
exactly
AI.
Because interpretability means transparency, that you can actually see if you're going to leave the decisions to some automata, these have to be explainable. The decisions made have to have some reason, right?
I just want to say, ethics is a big topic in AI on this day,
Yeah.
but also AI is something it's not regulated yet. I expect to have some regulation.
Ethics and regulation.
In the use of AI in the near future, maybe next year or this year, next year.
But that's a different thing. No? That's how you use AI. How you use AI, but
how you deliver it. Yeah.
How do you prepare your models? You see, like an example is like there is this project by some African American that tell us that there is this machine learning model that recognizes human images, but it's very good at recognizing white people. But if you try to recognize a black woman, it doesn't know if it's a woman or a man. So why is
because
that?
The training data.
Because the training data is mostly on white people.
But this is a bias.
So of course the model is already being biased. So that's the thing.
And talking to, the ethics and all this, everything is advancing so quickly in what we've done. Is this a big surprise for you guys and how quickly it's advanced? Or is this, for the general public, we're just suddenly amazed at the tools that we have at our disposal? But for you in the scientific community, has this been a surprise at how quickly it's advanced? Or is this actually just something you've been looking at for years?
Well, I do feel that there's been a leap in this last year, with the appearance of like Chat GPT and the likes.
But a leap in its usability, or a leap in the technology behind it, the science behind it?
In both, because I guess, we know what the basic model or science behind it, like transformer neural networks.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you wasn't following up, that line of research, transformers, at some point, there was this big jump into their applicabilities and the way they were trained, with massive amounts of data and the capabilities for.
The reason I think that this is a giant leap, it reminds me of when you and I first met, and I was talking about sentiment analysis, and you said, "Oh, I can do that."
Yes.
And ever since we've known each other, you're always, "Oh, I can do that." But I'm pretty sure if I said, like, I want to create a large language model for Acuity, you would be like, I can't do that.
No, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's a matter of reading the papers. That's what I'm here for.
I'm not going to be that optimistic.
And Ariel, so what are your thoughts?
I think that we can do that, but we need to take into consideration that's the amount of resources that we need to invest on creating that.
If you're willing to pay for the team, because
we're not getting into large language models.
Because the problem is about
not yet.
Not yet.
Let's see what happens in the future.
We don't have to create. There's a lot of tools now out there we just can use.
Yeah.
Definitely we have.
Well, it's going to be another day. We're not going to use that in the interview, and I'm going to cut you there. But thank you anyhow. One of the interesting aspects of what we do is we work with the university at Acuity, University Polytechnic Catalunya, which is where I first met Argimiro and Ariel. What advice do you have for students coming into this area? Thoughts about what they should focus on?
Well, certainly they should have an education on statistics or mathematics and computer science. and then be willing to like learn a lot of like finance. I mean, we have a very new degree in data science, where we actually have that mix of topics, and the students that we're getting out of that degree are right for the company in that sense.
So you very much base your courses around what people are looking for in companies,
No, I think that's I think that's a mistake of academics, actually to like focus on what the market needs, although that's a trend, because then you don't go deep into the subjects. I think we should go more. We don't know what's coming. So we have to give the students, the tools or the frame to actually framework to actually tackle big problems, mathematics. So give them the basic mathematics, but also the computer science, and
so
a mix of finance if they want to get into the.
You've worked in academia all your life, and I'm interested to see how that. I have a very different perspective because I've worked in companies all my life, but I'm very interested to see Ariel. Ariel, you spent many years at university. You still lecture at universities in your hobby time, let's say, but your full-time job is now at Acuity. You've been here maybe 5 years or so. What would you say to aspiring young people?
I'm not sure if I'm going to be very optimistic on that, but it's like computer science, finance, generative AI, all these topics are hot topics on these days. Everyone say, I want to do that. Before saying, I want to do that, just research a bit what is behind all this technology that they want to do. Because if they are not sure, the amount of mathematics that they will find during the first year of the bachelor is going to be quite frustrating. You need to love mathematics. You need to be very creative.
And also, I was talking to my nephew this last weekend, he's just started engineering at, I think, Warwick University. And it's the amount of hours that you have to dedicate to this. It's not a simple thing.
No, it is not. You need to be sure that at least during the first year of the bachelor, you are going to be suffering a lot because of the new information that you will be getting. I would say that from my own experience, after the second year of the bachelor, the things soften a bit because you're more comfortable with jargon or what you are doing in the university. But even when you live in the university, you have a lot of things to learn and be on track of. I'm going to make another advertisement, a bit one now. I think that all the work that we are doing now is mostly created by a lot of new researchers, scientists that are coming from the UPC, and they are doing a very hard work here at Acuity with us, and I want to say that's a very appreciated work.
Okay, that's because I just sat over there then.
Yeah, I saw him there now.
So we're coming to the end of the interview now, and I always leave the best till last, and it's the most important subject. I have a question from my two kids. They are trying to predict where and when Santa will arrive. And could you give them advice on the best machine learning model to use to predict Santa's journey and how much money he's got to spend this year on his presents?
Well, I think that we need to review the financial document from Acuity. I can answer that with one. And they would know how much money Santa will spend on them this year.
That's true, yeah. Good point.
No, but I think that I saw an application that you can track all the travel.
NORAD, yeah, the US Space Command, yes.
Oh, yes, you can see where Santa is at right now.
And is that based on like neural networks or what?
I'm not sure what is behind the technology, but the good news is that Santa is arriving. I'm not sure what it is right now, but it's arriving. Yes.
Good. All right, guys.
Great.
Well, thank you sincerely for your time and thoughts, and I think we'll do this again. And thank you for everyone, and Merry Christmas to everyone all around the world.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.